Hi, everyone. This is Myesha-Tiara. I am the Artistic Director at Perceptions Theater, and I am joined today with Matty Sythandone, who is one of our amazing actors from A Breath for Humanity, which is now currently streaming virtually, and it will be streaming until December 31st. So if you have not gotten your tickets yet, come on, go get those tickets, honey, so you can see this amazing work that these 7 actors have put into this devised work that they made over the span of 6 months. So we have Maddie here with us. I am going to let Maddie introduce themselves. Maddie, how are you today?
Good. Hi, folks. My name is Maddie, he, him pronouns. I am calling to you live from Seattle, Washington, and it's quite some ways from Chicago. But through Zoom, we made a play, and that's pretty cool.
Awesome. So, Maddie, I know you're not in Chicago. Where are you from?
I'm born and raised Seattle, Washington, lived here my whole life. I lived in a city maybe like 20 minutes outside of Seattle when I was growing up. It's called Mount Lake Terrace. And my 3rd year into my 4th year of college, I moved to a neighborhood called Queen Anne. Some folks, if you know anything about Seattle, you might know what the Space Needle is. I live a 20-minute walk away from the Space Needle. It's pretty close. Yeah, born and raised here, haven't left yet, hoping to find a reason to leave. Working with Perceptions was my out of town debut / live from my bedroom, and it was the best feeling I could have during a pandemic, truly.
Wonderful. So you being from Seattle, how did you even hear about Perceptions?
I am a part of a lot of different theater, actor, TV, film, random Facebook groups, and I'm pretty sure the group, probably theater people of color, there is a Facebook group that has a very, very big following, and truly I just kind of throw my it's like a spaghetti noodle. You throw it at the wall and then maybe it'll stick or not. And that was one of those circumstances that I was like, this sounds cool. I don't have anything to do. And at the time when I was applying, my job at the time was actually 30 to, when I was a manager, 50 or 60 hours a week on Zoom. So I was like, let's do something fun on Zoom actually, and not your job. So that was really a big driving point for me, because I'm like, let's meet some new artists. Let's learn about cities and places and people that I've never ever had a chance to interact with or even pass by, because Seattle theater community, it is it's large. It has the fringe, the medium fringe, and the big players. But the community in itself is very small. And even if you don't know someone, there's a likelihood that they're friends with you on Facebook, or you've walked past them before. So it was nice to collaborate with artists that I would have never had the opportunity to collaborate because we're not in the same space.
Right, absolutely. This is actually our 2nd year, and it's our 2nd year being virtual. So we'll be going live and in person next year, as well as virtual content. So this year has been wonderful for us because we have been able to have so many amazing artists who are not here in Chicago because of the wonderful world of Zoom. I mean, online meetings have made the theater world even smaller. So we're so happy that you could join us from all the way in a whole different time zone. So with that, how was that for you with rehearsals? It's such a different 2-hour difference.
It was a lot. When I was working, in my time in rehearsals, I transitioned from one job I had the majority of the pandemic to I was going into a full-time job. That job, I worked from home. It was pretty easy. So I usually had rehearsals in between events that I was running. But when I transitioned, kind of as we were getting into the recording phases and as we were trying to finalize and memorize things, I was working a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. job. And luckily I had a co-teacher that was like, oh yeah, you do your art. She was a mom, but she is a mom. She has kids. She understood. And I was like, wow, thank you very much for switching your times with me so I can go home an hour early to do this. I was very grateful. And most of the time, even for small little meetings and things, this job that I had would let me meet people on Zoom in the hallway, as long as they didn't mind, or as long as I didn't mind that like kids would be walking down the hall, you know? So they were very accommodating, knowing that I was trying to be an artist and like work with these kids, because that was a selling point in getting that job for me. I worked in the pre-kindergarten program, and it was a very short time, and I sold myself on like creative drama, and their learning style is social emotional learning, and creative drama ties into that 100%. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love the energy. And I'm so thankful that you had someone that understood. It is so hard as an artist when you have other jobs that are trying to supplement your income until you have a job that's like big enough to pay all of the bills that we all dream for every single day to be called for. So I'm so happy that that was able to work out for you. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know, what exactly drew you to want to be a part of this production? Because as you know, it's a devised piece. So with devised work, you never know where you're going to end up. So what made 100%. You say, I want this?
100%. So one, this is the, like, I did a virtual like burlesque kind of thing that was streamed virtually, but we did it in person. So it was totally different. So I wanted to collaborate, one, with new artists. Two, I've never done this kind of collaborative build your own story experience. I've ran workshops and classes for youth to do said thing, but I personally have not. And when I went to school, I went to Cornish College of the Arts here in Seattle, and they have a whole program that is called the Original Works Program. And between that and like musical theater, I was like, I don't know. There's no like original musical program that you can star and do your own musicals, and it's all about musical theater original works. It was just like, you're a writer or you perform. So this was an opportunity for me to blend different facets that I have. And speaking of that burlesque piece, I used some of it in this piece, in the perceptions piece. So yeah, you can get a little taste of all of my virtual experience.
Yes, when I saw that virtual burlesque piece, I was like, oh my gosh, because I used to be a burlesque dancer as well. When I first moved to Chicago, I did burlesque for the entire year. We actually did a burlesque play called Stranger Thongs, which was like a play on Stranger Things. So I already knew. I was like, oh, Maddie's coming in with that burlesque energy that I 100%. So I just love that you're so multi-hyphenate as an artist, as a lot of artists are. And I know you mentioned the school that you went to. So tell us how you got your start as an artist. Like, what made you say, okay, I want to be an artist, and these are the things I'm most interested in?
Well, I went to like a K-8 school when I was younger, and my like upper years, I think it was like maybe 5th grade, as we had our first like musical that I was able to see there. It had clowns, they broke the fourth wall, they sang a song and like walked up and down and twirled all around the aisles, and I was like, what is that? Fast forward a year later, I am the lead in a Cinderella adaptation at my elementary school. And like that kind of drew me to musical theater. Me playing a football player, weird. I'm not sure, you might be familiar with, Hilary Duff did an adaptation of like, I think it's called The Cinderella Story. Yeah, it was basically like a kid's musical with Hilary Duff, like spin-off movie. It was written by a local person, also new works. I like new works. I want to be, the Village Theater in Seattle does a lot of new works, and I really want to be a part of their new works festival. So I'm just speaking this into the world. Anyway, so back to me and where I came on track. So like the idea that like you could break a fourth wall, like someone can stop watching you and join you, that I ate that up. And you fast forward to high school, we did All Shook Up the musical, and that was the first time I really worked on like a big set. We had the district theater, so like people would come to our school and do plays there, and we were the ones that got to always do plays there and have class. So like having those opportunities to work in many different regards kind of drew me to it. It wasn't until my like third year of college, and second into third year, I was like, oh, you know what? I really like theater. I really like musical theater. I wonder, maybe I could teach some of it. So I interviewed to be a teaching artist, and I've been a teaching artist with a company called Dandelion Drama for going on, I think, 4 years now. I randomly added this person on Facebook thinking I met them at a play, but in reality, I never did. But they offered me a job out of the blue. So I was like, okay, that's fun. Through my like experience watching the theater when I was younger into like doing it kind of in high school, that's when like colleges came and like showed you different things. So I'm like, oh, this maybe could be something I could go to school for. But it wasn't until my third year of college that I was like, okay, here's my plan. I know what's up. Even now I'm like, oh crap, I don't know what's up. I'm behind.
I definitely say, I feel like we all feel that way as artists, especially now. I mean, we're in year 2 of the pandemic. So you have a lot of time to sit and contemplate your life and what you're doing as an artist. So it definitely fluctuates and changes, but it's such a journey. So, you know, it's just when I always have to tell myself that as well as an artist, it's like, it's a journey. It's not a race. You don't have a stop time. It's a journey. Take it one day at a time, one step at a time. And I also love that your talent plus pure luck of you adding this person on the internet allowed you to be able to become a teaching artist at Dandelion, because that's like how a lot of stuff happens for artists. I know I've been in rooms where I didn't know people, but I thought I knew them. So when they would be like, hey, I'm like, hey, you know, being an artist who's like make believing that I'm like, I know this room. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that for you. So I wanted to also go on to ask you, what kind of work do you prefer to do as far as like the message and the artistic jobs that you take on? Like, what is, let's say, I don't know, your theme or what is something
I hear you.
that he says, this is my niche. These are the type of works that I like to take a part of.
Yeah, I mentioned this a little bit. I'm definitely a musical theater lover through and through, and I am a teaching artist. And I love performing for youth and sharing stories that are of hope, of confidence, teaching interpersonal connections between people, changing people's views about how they maybe walk through the world, giving someone an outsider, an inside look of maybe a life that you don't get to see. And I enjoy youth theater. Specifically, I found a love for youth theater at Seattle Children's Theater. I work there right now in a box office capacity, but I was able to be an understudy for them a couple years ago when I was graduating, and we did a play called Edward Tulane, and that was a story of love, of hope, and like being kind, and like, yeah, these are simple like messages, or like, oh, everyone knows how to be kind. Like, no, not everyone knows how to do that. Not everyone knows how to walk through life heart forward, because you don't understand what someone on the other side of the camera or someone on the other side of your conversation might be feeling in that moment. Maybe they don't feel strong enough to say something to you. But I love stories that have a social, emotional like depth to them. I want a story that makes someone think, maybe pushes someone into a box that they didn't know might have helped them. Like, you know, like there's containers. There's not like you're stuck to this box, don't get out. But there's like containers that you can be like, oh, I popped in here. I didn't really know I liked that, but I'm going to take like a little piece. I'm going to bring this piece and I'm going to bring it to my container. So allowing people to experience these things. Because I really love the idea that theater can bring people together and question people's thought processes, even children. And children are the most like putty, like they will absorb it and question it. And if a flying dog goes right in front of their face, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that was the best thing ever. Wow, I wish I could be that flying dog. Like, I love those kind of stories. That's me.
That's wonderful. I think then you're in a great place working at a children's theater. Like it just your energy, it definitely allows the space for children to create. And I also love the fact that you're saying what helps bond people together, because even though you all were in different places, some of them were, there's other actors in Breath for Humanity were in Chicago. The fact that you were able to come together through, virtually, and be able to share yourselves and be vulnerable enough to share parts of your life that you're still processing, because we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and this play takes place starting in 2020, in the beginning stages of the pandemic. So was that process hard for you, or how were you able to keep your mental intact while also expressing what you've been going through as an artist throughout this pandemic, and also sharing that in a devised work?
I have to remind myself each time that I come in front of a Zoom camera, I like, not maybe in this circumstance, this is a candid interview, but in like those rehearsals, in those moments where I'm a virtual stage manager or I'm a virtual assistant to someone, wherever I may be, it's a character that I have to put on. It's like a part of my job. It's a hat that I put on for a second. And in that moment, if like something filters through from my life when I don't have that hat on, something scary, something vulnerable, I notate it. I like tack it in my brain. I breathe. And then most of the time in rehearsals, I would feel comfortable like messaging about things in the chat versus maybe saying it out loud, just because sometimes we'd get into this rhythm, this cadence of just storytelling, and I don't want to interrupt something. But Lauren made good space for us to chat with one another constructively, like build upon things with each other, while also having one-on-ones with us and being accessible to us to just chat. We did spend a lot of time together on Zoom, but we were still separate. And I enjoy that. I still felt like I got to know these people like a real cast would in real life, working with each other. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Cool.
It definitely does. It definitely does. My next thing for you is, first off, kudos to you, because kudos to all of y'all, because honestly, after watching it myself for the first time, I said, you all can go make your own short films. Like, you are pretty decent with the camera and the angles and the voiceover, all of it. I was just so proud to see you artists be able to multi-hyphenate yourself within a devised piece, to be able to know where to place your cameras, know where to put your lighting, know how to do all those things. I mean, you running for that bus, Maddie. I mean, I was cracking up, yo. And then the Keurig not working. Oh, I was like, stuff like that would just set your morning off to be pissed. So you were honestly one of my favorite comic reliefs throughout the show. You made me laugh. However, you also made me think for your burlesque piece, when the voiceover of your heritage and where you come from, and accepting that. How has that been for you as an artist? Have you been able to merge them together, as far as I know, often, and also for myself as well, as a minority actor, sometimes you don't feel like you fit in the room, or sometimes you feel like you're constantly looking at character breakdowns and you don't see yourself. Even the parts that don't have race related, you'll go to auditions and you're like, well, it's just me. So how has that process been for you, being able to just discover and try to understand all of who you are and incorporate that?
Still going. Have I put as much energy as I could? No. This piece and the voiceover that you're referencing was the first time that I truly did sit with it, because I was prescribed to. Not that I didn't want to, but like I need to have like homework assignment, to be able to work through the things, and then I'll stare at the thing for like a month and be like, oh, that's why. it's a journey. I still don't feel like I'm connected to my heritage and like the things, the people, the spirits, all the beings that get me to where I am today. But I think by writing that kind of voiceover, I think by acknowledging it, and I think by not letting it slip to the back of my brain, it's me working still. It's just, personally, my heritage is connected to like not the best relationship with my father, and I battle with that, but I am finding ways, and I've met people in my life that share like, I like, for example, I worked at a Starbucks one time, and there was another like Laotian girl there, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're Laotian too? Like, we could like totally do A, B, and C. And I was like, okay, like that sounds fun. Like, we never got to, but like, I'm still friends with her on Facebook, and like, I like her stuff, and I'm friends with my family on Facebook that I haven't seen some of these people in years, since they were like half my size, but I can still be a part of it. And I know if I were to be like, hey, I want to come, I'd be welcomed. I'd feel weird, but I'd be welcomed. So yeah, it's kind of a thing that's always been a little touchy for me. But this project gave me the space and the time and the like social emotional connection with people to like feel like I can open up about it. And I talked to people like my castmates, and like we worked through stuff, and we presented our pieces, and we had like constructive conversations about them, and I'm grateful for it. Yeah.
I 100% love that for you, Maddie, because I just think artists in general, I often hear our stories of in people, not just artists, have those moments, conflicts with family, issues that you are still, like you said, it's a journey. Like,
Yeah.
it's you only can take it one day at a time. And
Yeah.
I love that you have the ability to still be accepted, even if you decided to be apart. And I love that for you. And I can't wait to see how your journey with that continues to grow, and what you continue to learn, and what makes you a better person, because I know it can be a lot. I honestly myself haven't really sat with my own heritage and everything literally until the pandemic started. Like, the pandemic, I think for a lot of people left some time for self-reflection. So I could say one thing that would be a benefit from it, at least, that you were able to sit with yourself and be like, do I like this person? And am I treating this person how they should be treated? Am I loving on myself? Am I caring about myself? Am I expressing my feelings appropriate to how I feel, and also being able to communicate that to others? And I love that you and the other cast members were able to converse with one another and be able to share your emotions and share your feelings. And we see it throughout the show. I relate to so many of you at different moments. And I'm just like, I'm not the only person who was experiencing this. And
isn't that a great feeling? Isn't that so great? I felt that so much throughout the last 6 months, 2 years, going on 3.
Absolutely. And we've been getting like emails and comments from people who are just like, thank you for sharing this. Like, this art is beautiful. This art needs to be seen. And that's the kind of work that we aim to produce at Processions. Like, our tagline is, changing the way you perceive the world around you, one show at a time. And we love to have work that sits there and makes you think, and has someone say, you know what? That's me. And I love it. Or, you know what? That's me. And I might need to do some work because I don't like what I see reflected.
That right there, and that is why I love youth theater, because those are the young people that need it. Those are the people that go to elementary school and get bullied because they wore the same shirt 2 days in a row, or they have an old backpack from first grade and it's like fourth grade now. Like, those are the people that get bullied for the dumbest things, and sometimes it can turn people into like not turn people, but like it can give people this like over body experience of anxiety. Like, I don't want kids to feel like that. I want a kid to feel like they can walk down the street with the rainbow purse in their hand if they felt like it, like that was kind of like a metaphorical thing, but I did that in Yakima recently, and it's a weird out of town podunk area, but I got a lot of looks when I was walking around the street in like a sparkly jacket and a rainbow purse, but I want a young person to also have that confidence, you know?
I definitely think, you know what, that makes you an influencer. I feel like that's a word everybody's been using this past 2 years, but it definitely makes you an influencer. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as an artist myself, I also think like, how can I show up for the younger version of me that's out there and show them that it's possible and not to be ashamed of any of it, just living your truth. And so that brings me to actually ask you, who are your biggest influencers?
My biggest influence this person got me to want to even look into Cornish College of the Arts there, and even like as I was watching their career, to stay there. This is a drag artist called Jinx Monsoon, graduate of Cornish College of the Arts. Yes, I assume you're familiar. Beautiful. They're
RuPaul. That's why I know. Yes. RuPaul.
Do I have here? 1 second. I got to cut this out for a second. My idol, Jinx Monsoon. I love her. She is quirky, weird, musical theater, camp, a powerful person when they walk into the room. I was lucky to like walk by them at Cornish, and like they came into my Cornish classes periodically throughout the like 4 years I was there. But this person like started as a janitor at Cornish, as a work study job, worked their way through Cornish, and now like has won RuPaul's Drag Race, international known artist, and is just spreading messages of love, hope, and acceptance. And like, that is who I strive to be. When I was touring in the fall to elementary schools, I have 2 of these figures, and I took one of them like with me to each school, and I would like take a picture of like the performance space or the gym or the wherever we might have been in that moment, and I would bring Jinx like with me, and that was kind of like my, you know what, like this is happening, this is cool. I brought my idol with me. I'm doing a dream that I have right now. Let's run with it.
I love that, Maddie. I myself have like a wall that I'm just dedicated to all of my biggest influences. So I can always look at that, whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, and I can just be like, it's okay. Like, you'll be fine. You know, they're rooting for you. You don't know me yet, but I know you're rooting for me. And I love that you're able to meet one of your biggest influences. Like, oh my goodness, when I've met one of mine and I literally cried. Okay. I was just like, you don't even know how much I appreciate you. So I love that. And I definitely get all that energy from you. Like, definitely, for sure. So my next thing for you, Maddie, is what do you have going on right now? I know you have a few theater-related things going on. So what is next for Maddie? A Breath for Humanity ends December 31st. However, Maddie doesn't end December 31st. So what's happening with Maddie?
So right now through December 19th, I am touring with a Taproot Theater Company doing their Christmas tour. It is a play called Pageantry. Basically, this is a pageant a Christmas nativity pageant at a church, and everything has gone wrong. People have been snowed out, no one shows up, and it's just the like core 4 people that are at the church. My character is kind of the person that teaches everyone a lesson, and like hope and joy, and like not like judging people by the cover of their existence, you know. It's been interesting for me to do this experience because I am not the most religious person. I grew up religious, and like I grew up in church. I was baptized, and just as I grew up, I've lost my connection. But through this company, Taproot Theater, I'll go into this next tour, but through my now 2 touring experiences with them, I've been able to kind of find some kind of faith. I don't know what I want to define that as right now, but I've been able to find some type of faith between theater and religion, and respecting both places, because I didn't feel like I was really when I was being confirmed, when I went to baptism, all those things. But like when I have the 2 things in one, I'm like, it's making me think. I'm learning through theater, and I'm like finding hope through theater, which is great. So yeah, I've had a really good time being in this show pageantry. It's been touring across Washington to different churches and community centers. And prior to that, I was working from August to like November-ish. I was on a touring company for Taproot with educational plays. It's called The Road Company, and we did a play called Allies from Outer Space, and we also did a play called The Social Net Worth. These are two plays that teach ways to recognize bullying, how to handle it, and people, resources, that kind of thing that you can use actively if you're in a situation or you see someone that's in a situation. Allies from Outer Space is the like K-6 show, while The Social Net Worth is the like 7 through 12 kind of show. These were, I didn't get to do the high school show, which is interesting because I was cast as the bully and I was very anxious the whole time, and like my director gave me all the things he needed to like get me into this place, but I'm very grateful that I did not have to do it in front of an audience, because I just don't know how I could be a bully in real life. I could try, I can pull every single tool from my acting kit, but it just didn't feel like me. But I would have, it's my job, so obviously I would have done it. But we did get to do Allies from Outer Space, and I got to go to at least like, I want to say 15 to 20 schools in the span of like a month. And the laughter and the joy, and like to be in a room with students that haven't seen live theater, yet alone their friends in so many months, like, it was such a gift. For many students that we went to their schools, this was their first assembly ever, maybe, or their first assembly, like seeing their friends back from the pandemic. Some schools have such a strong relationship with Taproot that we were able to be their very first day of school. We were the first thing that the school saw when they started the year, and that is like a gift that community like really cherishes. So yeah, I've been really grateful to be a part of these touring companies with Taproot. Doing educational tours, working with youth are really like my bread and butter. That's the thing I was like, I want to be a part of every major theater company's touring program that does this in any state. I don't care where. Hopefully I can get equity points eventually and like start making a career for myself and like a salary and pension and all these things, you know. But hey, one step at a time. It is a journey. It is not a super speedy race. But yeah, and I'm unfortunately not able to continue the educational tour in the spring, just with some pandemic related things. And my tagline for the year is #stability. So we're balancing. It's a race. It's a journey, not a race. We just said that, but we're working through it. But while I may not be able to do spring touring, I am still virtually touring to schools. We spent a weekend recording both plays, and this is Taproot, like, and I've never recorded a play, so like, I don't know. To me, in this newbie space, they spared no expense. They had like 6 cameras, all the lights, all the sound, all the everything, the voiceover, the transitions, and like these are really well produced virtual shows that also have talkbacks in them. We filmed talkbacks at the end, and then I was the lucky one that got to do the intro to say, "Hi everyone, welcome to Allies from Outer Space." Because yeah, I got that good energy, you know, that good. Yeah, so that's me. I've been touring with Taproot, and I should mention this because this is something I'm transitioning into. I'm an assistant director for my first time ever for a musical. It is called In the Heights. It is with Seattle Musical Theater and the Latino Theater Projects. This is a collaboration that I will say is a production that is growing into a beautiful, definitely needed piece of theater right now. But historically has had a little bit of a rocky path to get there. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I want to establish in this interview that for artists that are working, emerging, you're in the business, you're whatever, I invite you to, before you question, before you judge or make a harsh move, trust in the artists that are in that communication and in that organization, and like look at the facts. Look at the facts and look at the infrastructure before you try to like tear it down and build a new one. Because I personally have had some struggles in this role, but I know that these are growing pains, and we're all working through a pandemic. And I know at the heart, like the cast that is putting on this show has their 100%. And whether the team is working through some bumps or not, like we're going to be there for each other. So just having heart forward, trusting your team until they've given you something to not maybe feel trusted about. You know, like benefit of the doubt is really important. And if you're kind and lead with a heart forward, people will continue to work with you. Yeah, so don't be scared to advocate for yourself. That's a really big thing.
I love that. I love that. And I also love your slogan. I don't even know if you know it's a slogan, but your heart forward slogan. You've been saying it even from the beginning of this interview. And I love that. And I think that that's something that people should just take into their everyday lives. Go heart forward, because you don't, everybody's battling with something. So be kind where you can. And I love that children have someone like you who is there to in some way advocate and also in some ways encourage and teach them to be better or to change their ways, especially with these touring companies. I've done children's touring theater, and it blows your mind how much you can influence a child. Because like you said, it's putty. Their little minds, they are trying to explore everything, and to have someone who's in their corner who can show them and encourage them and lead them in the right path. I think that's beautiful. I think that your message is beautiful, and I'm glad that you're one of the people out here helping our kids, because it's a big world.
Thank you.
And we need as much kindness as we can. So thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you so much for this interview. And thank you for taking the time out of your day and just sharing who you are. And honestly, when I get to Seattle, I'm hitting you up because we need to hang out. We need to get a drink or something, because you seem so much fun. And I mean, even virtually, I'm like, yes, Maddie, just come on, points are made.
Yes, so let's do it. You know what's funny? My partner actually, the other day, he was like, hear me out. Let's return all our Christmas presents. And then like 5 minutes later, I get a text with a screenshot for Chicago tickets. And I'm like, well, they are really cheap. I don't know. I do want to go to Chicago really bad. Some good theater comes out of that area. And actually, there was a company I used to work at, Book It Repertory Theater. I was there when their new artistic director was coming in. His name is Jessamyn. He was actually from Chicago. He ran a theater company called Jackalope, I believe. He was artistic director for that. And I was like, wow, that guy's really cool. And then like a couple months later, I was like, whoa, I get to work with like 4 different artists. That's awesome. Definitely come to Seattle. I'll try to make it there. Yes. I wanna make friends with this Perception family.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much once again, Maddie. And my very last thing from you is, what do you want people to take away from A Breath for Humanity?
Keep that heart forward, my friends. And don't forget, breath is your most powerful tool. Period.
And with that, I don't have anything else to say. I think Maddie said it all. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, get them. We're streaming till December 31st. And we can't wait to see you watch this show. And you can watch it whenever you feel like it, day or night. Once you buy those tickets, they push yours until December 31st. You get to see some of Maddie's amazing art, as well as the other 6 amazing actors who worked their behinds off to make this art possible. So thank you all. And hey, it's Myesha-Tiara from the Artistic Director at Perceptions Theater. I'm signing out. And y'all go make something possible today. And like Maddie said, lead heart forward, honey.
Boom.